They can catch up. Okay. All right. So basically, just to summarize what we did before the break, okay, like you want to have a clear objective. Okay, we talked a little bit about awareness versus like, you can't do everything all at once. Okay, so a clear objective, a defined audience. We talked a little bit about simple thing, customer, non-customers. If that's all you can do, that's better than just a general thing. Good data, as good as you can get it. Relevant offer, okay, and that's important. Like the pet example, the vet, the free office visit and the heart guard is a very relevant offer, okay, for that audience. So they're like 75% home. You know, they had a good offer. I don't know who they targeted. Hopefully it was a good audience, but their problem was there wasn't a call to action that was good, like do it now, call me today. And you know, and the thing too, this last thing, creative. People put a whole lot more emphasis on creative than they need to. They tend to think the creative is the bigger deal, when actually it is what? What is the bigger driver of success besides the creative? The offer and the list. You know, am I targeting the right audience, and do I have a good offer? And you know, these other pieces, like have I told them exactly what I want them to do, like the call to action? Those things are more important than like award-winning creative. You can have that and miss up on the other things and the campaign won't work. Okay, so we talked about that, and then we talked a little bit about like the snow shovels in 65-degree weather. Timing plays a role in this as well. All right, now I want to, what?
Some of the more enticing offers
okay.
for businesses like that.
It's coming up in the next slide. Okay, so the point I want to make about that before we answer Marilyn's question is that one offer can't fit all. Okay, because remember we did this a few sessions ago. There's only 3% of your audience. Like when that vet sent that thing out, at that moment, there's only 3% of the audience that's like, oh, I need a vet. I need a vet today. You know, I just moved into town and I need a vet. The rest of the people are in those other categories. Oh, you know, I don't like driving across town to my other vet. You know, I wasn't happy with the way they treated me last time I was in there. Like, I'd be open to switching. There's some that, you know, I actually am. I've had enough pain that I'm actually thinking about switching. Okay. Some don't think they're interested. I'm pretty happy with the guy I have because I don't know anything better. And some don't want to switch, no matter what. Okay, so the same offer is not going to work with each of those groups. Okay, which is the problem that you get. Like, so let's take the pet thing because it's just good. Like that free offer. Who does that work for? I'm new and I need a vet. Okay, because I don't have anybody.
For first-time customers only.
He could have. The other thing, he could have. But I wouldn't do it that way, personally, because it's better to segment that data. Because how are you going to feel if you get that? Why is that guy getting a free thing? I'm their customer. So if you put the caveat on the piece and still send it, you have the reverse happen, is you make someone mad. Okay? So that would have been better had I invested in the time to make sure the customers weren't in the list.
What about sending it to customers and say, refer your client and then go?
Yep, you can do that. You can do that a lot. Okay, and that's a good thing to do. You capitalize on the loyalty that you've built, and I'm going to come up with an example on that in a minute. Okay, so the same offer doesn't work. Go back to the free pet check. If I love my vet, love my vet, you could send me free anything. I'm not going to change. If I have never had a problem with my vet, the free thing doesn't work. So it's really only going to work with the people who don't have any other, you know, I don't have a vet right now, or that second group, I've had some pain. It's not enough to make me think I overtly want to switch, like I'm out there looking for a vet, but I've had enough pain that, maybe I'll give these guys a try. So I've lopped off, look at that group. I'm open to it, and 3% I'm buying now. I mailed to 100 people, 10% that offer appeals to. Okay? So now whatever percentage that you get of that 10% is your response rate. So that's the other thing is like, that's why we did the objectives first. What are you trying to accomplish? Because now let's do a B2B example. I sell software. There's 3% out there that are actively looking to buy software. There's 6 to 7% that are like, you know, man, I'm not sure I like this Peachtree anymore. It's got some issues, but I got some other important things that are going on. There's some I'm not even thinking about changing, and I know I don't want to change, like those groups. So if I send them something and I say 10% off your next purchase, who cares? It's only the 3% that want to buy right now. So matching the offer up to the objective is really important. Okay, so here, Marilyn, some answers to your question. Okay, so this chart up here, some offers drive response. Free stuff drives response. Okay, free, whatever, this and that, people just love free. Okay, it drives response, not necessarily qualified response. Okay, so if I'm looking for loyal pizza customers that are going to come into my pizza restaurant and get a pizza every 2 weeks for the rest of their lives, the guy that's like, oh, Papa John's got a coupon, Little Caesar's got a coupon, Pizza Hut's got a coupon, Jet's got a coupon, that's not who I'm going after, because I have to keep buying him. I have to keep buying that customer, right? So you want to think about, you know, like what is your message? What is the offer to get them to do what I want, okay? So you can see how those are rated. 5 is the best. So free giveaway, if I'm looking for a response, I get the highest response, something free, okay? And then you can look at some of those other things and it goes down in terms of response, but it flips when I'm looking for qualified response, okay? So in a B2B world, if I want a lead to be, I'm generating leads or I'm nurturing leads, and I get you to come to a webinar, you're really interested, okay? Or I get you to download a white paper, you are starting to have the pain that I know can lead you to buying from me. So you want to make sure that your offer matches what you're trying to accomplish. Does that make sense? People make that mistake all the time. I thought yesterday when, I forget if the PagePath guy, he's like, you know, here's some kind of discount off of PagePath. Well, that only matters, what does PagePath cost? What does the product cost? Okay, well, I mean, it's not $10.99, like it's, okay, so you probably aren't going to be like, thank God I got the coupon, let me go buy that. Like, you need some investigation, okay? So that is only going to drive people that were like close anyway. Does that make sense? Okay, so you got to think about that. Hey, he's back. All right, so the 5s are for B2B stuff like ROI calculators, okay? And that actually works a little bit on B2C too. Like, have you ever gone to like a website to figure out what your payment might be? That's more qualified than somebody who's like, oh, that's interesting, you know? But ROI calculators, what's my return on that? A big driver of qualification. Webinars, because I physically have to take time out of the day, take an action, do that. I'm not going to do that unless it's important to me. Live events, same thing. White papers a little less, case studies a little less, because I can kind of do those without, you know, I'm in the early stages of investigating. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so you're prioritizing criticality of need, their budget, specific and realistic goals. Like, there's just tons of stuff that goes into like putting this together. But some of the things that you want to think about is, you know, if you have a small budget, we want to minimize the objectives here. Because the more objectives I have, the more convoluted it's going to get, the less likely I'm to be successful. So if the guy's like, I only have 2,500 and I really need some more customers, then just go there. Forget about the awareness, forget it, you know, like, what can I do to help you do that? So that's going to be use your existing customers that love you to find more customers, going to be stuff like that. Okay? Data capture goals identified. You need to know that going in, so you set it up right. So what are we trying to learn? Okay, we want them to buy, or we want to see if they cared about the graphic or did the offer work. What are we trying to figure out? Like, if you think about that up front, then you build a campaign that can give you that answer. Does that make sense? You can see the rest of the stuff. How frequently are they going to do it? One and done doesn't work. You know, so if they're not saying I'm committed to doing stuff repetitively, that's not going to probably work, especially if it's an awareness generating thing. Think about that. What's going to happen? You guys are falling asleep. Okay, so think about if I need to get you excited. Hey, come to my pizza place. Right now, there's only 3% of the population that's like, I need a pizza tonight. Okay, so I said we have the best pizza in town, we're great, but the rest of those people don't feel like pizza today. So if I only send that piece out once, what are my chances of getting them? Well, and my chance is, it's worse than that. I have one chance at getting some percentage of the 3%.
But would you want to send it out and then put it out? You know, Friday or Saturday, that's your pizza nights.
Right.
Are you going to want to tackle it as part of it you may already get, or you're going to try to do it on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night that your volumes are down?
All kinds of logics on that. Like I could say,
Not even more pizza sales. What are we trying to do? What day are we trying to fill out?
well, and the thing, there's considerations are, if I send out my coupon on Friday and then I'm with the Pizza Hut and I'm with all the other people and all that, would I be better off saying, hey, on Wednesdays we have buy a half pie, get the full pie for free or something, and then I target, now I'd want to target that audience, okay? So maybe I go, can I identify dual income working households? Okay, because like if it's a stay-at-home parent and they cook every night, I might get some of that. Like he had I'll do the husband. The husband had a bad day. I don't feel like cooking today. That could happen, but I have a much higher probability that the dual income family has that happening. Well, and that should be the message. Yeah. So that's, now stuff like that, like, let me just close that because we're never gonna get through this, but like that's a good idea. And if the goal was, I've got some good customers and I need them to buy more stuff from us, then texting is good for that. You already have the text number and you're gonna send a mobile message that says, don't forget, pizza's a great thing to have if you've had a long, hard day. Oh, yeah, I have. Okay, so and I'm gonna catch that timing that I need. Okay, but there's just, the point is lots of things to think about, and all these pieces have to somehow come together, and you get a successful campaign. Now, we talked about the tracking. You got overt and you got covert. Overt is the Steinmark question. How many times do you shop a month? That's, you are providing me an answer, okay? Or anytime you're like, are you the 6 month, are you gonna buy in 3 months, 6 months, 11, 12 months? That's an overt tracking mechanism because you're giving me data. Then you have the covert thing, which is like the donor stuff where I say, hey, go see what your gift is doing. I'm not even asking them for a gift. I just want them to, I'm stewarding the original gift. But when they get there, I'm talking about the 3 different pieces of my value proposition, and I'm not asking them for anything, but I can see what they click on. Okay? The schools do that, the colleges and the universities. Like if I can get you to go to my website, and I can see that you're looking at being a history major, or you're looking at being a science major, then I'm like, okay, my next piece to them, I'm talking about science. I have a better shot at being relevant, okay? And then, so video views is covert, unless I say, please type in this information to see this video, which would be really stupid, okay? Don't do that. Because you want them, that video is very interactive, you want them to look at the video. Now at the end of the video, you can have something pop up and say, want more information? Great. And then they have to fill stuff out. But you don't necessarily want to block the use of that video, because video is very compelling. So you don't want to have to give them a place like a distraction point. I don't know if I want to give them my information. And then I don't watch it and you didn't get your message across. Does that make sense? Okay. Best practices in building links are, you want to decide what you know first and then figure out what you want to learn and then figure out how you want to learn it, okay? So vet guy, hey, am I better in 2 miles or 5 miles from, will people go 5 miles to come to the vet? So I want to know what the distance is, so we need to have where we mailed it, and then we need to be able to track, get their address on the people that come back. Or can I use some kind of mechanism to get them, like enter a free drawing where they give us our address, so even though they didn't become a customer, I could say we had a bunch of people go to the website from this 3-mile radius. That's my sweet spot. Does that make sense? Make it easy and possible for respondents to act. To know, if anybody comes to you and is like, I want to ask these 17 questions before they do anything, you have to say no. The longer the stuff to do, the less likely someone is to finish it. Acknowledge that people early in the buying process might not want to give up information. If I'm just starting to feel pain, the last thing in the world I want is a sales rep hounding me. I want to see that video, I want to download that white paper, I want to read stuff on your website without anybody bothering me. So if you start sending out things where they have to disclose who they are and they're in that, I'm not even thinking about this stage, you are not going to get them. Does that make sense? Okay. Incorporate text and graphic links, okay? Because some people see text and some people see graphics. So sometimes you'll go to a landing page and it actually has like a picture, like a screen picture, and then you click on it, because it's trying to see that. And then elsewhere, they'll have in a text link, watch the video, because some people ignore the big block, okay? So you want multiple ways to access the information on the page, on the landing page. So it could be an icon, it could be a text link, you have one at the top. You'll probably notice that on websites a lot of times now, the landing page, up at the top, it's like donate now. It's like the first thing you see. Then there's like all this stuff, like trying to get you to actually give the money if you didn't want to do it automatically. And then down at the bottom, it's like donate now again. So they're like, if you just came and you were ready to go, I don't want to distract you with all the other stuff I've written. If you're not sure, but you're thinking about it, I want you to see all the stuff and I want to give you an easy flow to give. So I don't want you to have to look back up to the top to give again. Does that make sense? So stuff like that matters. And strategically placed links is what that means. All right, so now we're all going to try to build a campaign. Okay? So we only have 3 groups here. So we're going to have this group plus Sparkle. And her new name is Sparkle, because I love that. She's very sparkly. Okay, so this group plus Sparkle. This group, the rest of you guys over here is the next group, and then you guys are a group. Okay? So first group, this group down here with Marilyn, it's the first quarter, your customer sells software. It's the cost of the software is $100,000, and their sales cycle is 6 to 9 months. You're sitting in the first quarter. Okay? And year-over-year sales are less than projected. So what are you going to do? Okay?
Clients year-over-year sales.
Yeah, that's the client story. Okay, so you've got what do you think they ought to do? What are the campaign elements that you want to use? And what are you going to track? Okay? Group 2 it's April. I love the pets this week. It's a pet boarding and grooming company. So not a vet, a pet boarding and grooming place. They're opening up a new location on the other side of town, and they have a very good, loyal customer base in their current one location. What are you going to do? You guys it's July, slow summer sales for a training company. They do like training. Their sales cycle is 3 to 4 months, okay? And the company offers per project, like come in and do a spot training need, or they also put you under contract and sell you training things, at whatever you need, they'll answer. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, so you guys got to figure out, what does this company need to do? What is the objective of this campaign? What are the elements that you want to put in it? And what are you going to track? Okay? So little tidbit, the sales cycles are important, the length of the sales cycle. Okay? This is on fire, this thing. Okay, we good? All right.
It's about right now.
Okay, so let's go backwards and forwards here. So we're going to start with this group. So you guys have the training company. Okay? So who's your spokesman? Dan, are you the spokesman? All right. Listen up. All right, Dan, thank you for stepping forward. Everyone who volunteers, take one step forward. Okay, Dan, so what are you going to do? What's your objective?
Can we have your attention?
Yeah. He's such a problem. David. Okay, what are we going to do?
Well, it's July, and slow summer sales for the training company have forced us into a decision that we need to increase our sales. And it's almost too late. Our sales cycle is only 3 to 4 months. And we have 2 primary products. A training project by project base.
Well, what's your objective? What are you going to, what is it?
Some training in January. Okay?
Okay, so you want to find new customers for training.
And repeat customers. So lead generation.
Okay, so when will they see the payoff?
And we want to get the interest of our current,
Okay,
see what they do.
so the payoff is 3 to 4 months out.
About 3 or 4 months out. We're
Okay.
thinking about, it's now July, we're probably, and because we took into consideration a lot of factors. Time of year, budgeting for our companies, because normally not, somebody's going to do something in October.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not done. So we're looking at, so that gives us enough time, for example, to direct mail piece out to our customer list.
Mm-hmm.
Get some people driven into the website, get them to help us give some referrals so that we can get some more leads.
Oh, excuse me. I sneezed into my microphone.
Send out email blasts also, in addition to the direct mail. And then, when we do get some leads, do a phone campaign. Either by call center, like here at ICD, or if they have a sales staff, then they just find
Okay, so what elements are in the campaign? We're going to do direct mail, was it?
email, and phone.
Okay. And phone, so you're going to advise them to call out from the sales perspective? Phone call? Oh, you're going to call? Okay.
We'll hire a phone, you know.
Okay. Okay.
And the purpose of that is to again, we've got a survey going on, we want people to go in and give us some information about what their needs are, what they're willing to spend some money for us to train, that kind of thing.
Okay. Now, one big consideration is it's the summer.
What?
Well, it minimizes your hit rate. Okay? It's not, you can still do it. Yeah, but you need to think about that because, like, if I'm only targeting, you know, if I've got available 60% of my audience is even going to consider this, let's say, and now at any given point in the summer, a bunch of them are gone, you know, so you need to think about that. No, you know, it doesn't mean you don't do it, but you may, you know, you want to set the expectation that, you know, some portion, it's a revolving door, people are going to be out during the summer that we're trying to sell to, that we have to get in this funnel because we have a 3 to 4 month sales cycle.
And then one of the objectives there, like what the call center, to maybe offer a webinar or a live event of some sort.
Okay, let's think about something else though. All of that is good. All of that is good lead gen stuff, okay? The other thing you have to think about is it's the summer, so let's pick July, it's July. When's 3 to 4 months? Okay, anybody want to go to training in November, December?
That's the sales cycle, the actual training.
Okay, so this company, you're going to do something to make them better a year from now, like into 2015. Okay? Is there anything we can do to help them sell now? Okay, and I wouldn't have given you one where the answer is you're dead in the water.
Maybe some special incentives for the project that will hit the fall.
Conceivably. Or wouldn't I be better if I converted those project people to contracts, because then they're paying me regularly, right? So maybe I say, okay, you got two options here. You need some leads because you're going to need them next year too. But if revenue is a big issue, let's look at selling those project people, upgrading them to contracts. Now I'm still going to have the same is the decision maker available conversation because it's the summer, but I can get revenue without actually having the training, which is now not likely to happen in November and December. I don't travel much in November and December. Okay, so that's one where you could get sidetracked by ultimately the real best thing is we got to make it so next year you have more leads. Okay, but ultimately if you need revenue driving leads, those leads are not going to convert this year. Likely, or and then you could have, is there any way we can speed those leads up? I mean, that could lead you to something else, but that one you could go two different directions. You could do the lead gen and get them ready for 2015, or you could say, look, it'd be better for you to have some of these guys under contracts that's ongoing revenue. Maybe the better objective here at this stage of the game is convert those spot contract customers over to, or spot training over to contract training. That's another opportunity there. Yes, Jay?
Is there any relation between the sales cycle and the length of the campaign? The top of the 6 to 9 month sales cycle, bottom of 3 to 4 months. Should we look at that when we're dealing with a customer and say, okay, we really need the campaign to last the length, a sustained campaign through that sales cycle?
If it's the initial lead gen, you need them in the top of the funnel. Okay, because if it's, in that first example, I need them in the funnel so they can close by the end of the year. So my initial thing is get you in the funnel. So it is a lead gen thing. But then I'm going to have to move them through the funnel, and then it becomes a nurturing thing. Right. So it's two, I have two.
I guess it depends on the product.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, ideally, that's an ongoing thing. Ideally you say, hey, Mr. Customer, this isn't over one time. So if we do a campaign today and you put a bunch of people in the top of the funnel, a bunch of them are going to come out 6 to 9 months later and you're going to have an empty funnel again.
I would think if it's 6 to 9 months, I'm going to propose maybe a 6 to 9 month campaign for them.
Not campaign, because that campaign implies I'm doing something and then it's over. I would say you need a program. You need to do lead gen every month. So that we're taking people out of the bottom who are closing and we're putting new in. Yeah, so that would be like, let's make this so, back to this, that you don't have this problem again. We need something ongoing. Okay? All right, so now we'll go to you guys. What do you have? Oh, what were you going to track?
Well, responsiveness to the survey, because that was going to give us some information.
Okay. So you're going to do a direct mail piece to a landing page with a survey?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And then if we did have an event of some sort, depending on timing, attend.
Okay. Now you got it. Now this is that big business stuff, okay? Events aren't cheap.
No.
Okay? So now I'm looking at paying money to do the event that's going to cost me money and there's no payoff until 2015.
One thing we thought about on that one too is training. Immediately look to see if there's some sort of like an HR conference or something going on that we can kind of tap into. Just get a booth in an HR conference.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really do the event, but just
The other,
save some money in terms of that.
yeah, that's true. And the other thing too is, we didn't talk about it. I mean, there's too much that could happen here, but you also could say, okay, is there anybody in my customer base that traditionally does the training in the summer? Most people don't, but do I have a few people that do? Can I go back to them? So you could look at it a little closer and maybe find something. But in that case, the worry that you're going to have is that customers are going to incur the cost of the event, for leads that do not mature until the next year. What's his ROI going to look like? It's not going to be good. Now, you need to have that conversation with him first. Okay, because if you say, oh, we can do all this stuff and, it'll get you ready for next year and blah, 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 and he's like, yeah, this is great, and he doesn't really get, but I'm not going to see that revenue, you could get all the way down to the end, and I think I'm closing this, and it all of a sudden occurs to him, you know what, I'm going to look, my numbers will look bad. I'm going to have all this cost and no return, right? So you still want to do it because he doesn't want this problem again next year. Like, you still want to do it, but you need to make sure, he's bought into, I'm making an investment in 2014 for 2015. Okay? All right, what do you guys have?
Basically, they're looking in April of you facility. And they will have a loyal customer base, so they're not too concerned about the existing facility, but they can use the existing database they have to get referrals. Out of town, whether they use same campaign, when they leave out of town, to generate new customers for the facility.
Two campaigns. Okay, because those are not going to be the same messages. Okay? All right, so what are your elements? What elements are you going to use?
Postcards,
Okay?
newspapers,
Okay?
chamber of commerce.
What are you going to do at the Chamber of Commerce?
Usually they do a grand opening and invite their
Oh, okay.
town, so it's,
So you want to put on an event?
we're gonna put an event on.
Okay. They're party planners now.
Yeah, well, it's a dog grooming place, so we're gonna have people come visit.
You have dogs in costume? Maybe. Okay. Did I tell you what my dog costume is for this year? Did I tell you? No. Oh, come on. You want to guess? Okay, I just moved to Memphis. Elvis! I got 2 Elvis costumes for the dogs. Well, there's 2 dogs, so they're both going to be Elvises, and I'm going to be a hound dog.
See, you already caught it. They were
The dogs are Elvises. I got 2 little Elvis costumes, and I'm going to dress up like a hound dog.
That's gonna be cool.
I will send you all pictures. Okay. Yes, I will send you pictures. All right, so going back to so event's good because you got to market the event. You're going to have party favors. You're going to have giveaways, like lots of little stuff you can do.
If we can, we can dog grooming.
One of our customers in the event time, so we can refer.
Oh, how brilliant. Love it. Okay. They have another customer who's an event planner, so they're going to cross-pollinate here. Love it. Okay, now, because it's kind of some of the elements of Steinbart. Okay? So you're going to ask those loyal customers to help you promote the new location because they have friends on the other side of town, so you're going to pick up pieces of those. What do you want to track?
Well, we're not through there, but part of it will be a free grooming. We're gonna give giveaways, but they gotta sign up for it.
Okay,
So
free
we'll catch
grooming.
Their emails if they didn't leave it already. There's gonna be a groomer there that can groom a nice dog.
Okay,
The old-
a nice
I
dog.
like the animal show.
Uh-huh.
One of the questions was asked not to bring their dogs because I went the other way, but since we're having an open house and then become visitor place, bring their dogs.
Right.
Have a dog show. We're a dog people.
Oh, I like it.
So we kind of extended, but I want to throw that on the table. They said, don't bring your dog. You think we should? Just
Yeah, I think you should bring your dog.
one of the people said not to bring your dogs. I get this, but anyway.
Okay. And there's some odds and ends we need to tie up. Yeah.
No, it's a grooming. If you read the thing, we're doing dogs and cats and whatever you want.
Cats don't get groomed, do they?
Cats don't get groomed, but yet it's a board.
But they could board.
Part of it.
Okay.
Part of it, and they do get boarded.
All right, so we're going to give away the cost of the grooming, so I got some expense there. Okay, I'm going to have all this party stuff and all that.
For the kids and all that good stuff. Hot dogs probably, because
Okay.
we're trying to make it a social place for everybody.
Hot dogs? Isn't that like cannibalism?
Okay, yeah. Not thought through very well there.
Okay.
We're gonna hook up with the pizza guy.
Okay. Okay, one thing you got to think about. I love all that. Very creative, good stuff. You want to think about, though, events, and I'm going to give away, water bottles and inflatable dog dishes and all that stuff that's branded. We're racking up the money here, okay?
It's a
We
drawing.
So you also need, though, to know what the ROI is. So you need to be able to say, okay, yeah, you're going to spend a bunch of money, but what's 100 new customers worth to you? So you better have that research done, okay?
That's the branding part of your store.
Okay, who's leaving? Oh, bye, Tim. Yeah, man, you blow in, you blow out. Okay. All right, so we tracking, and you're going to track.
Which venues, I need to see location.
Okay. If you ever get one of those, check to see if they have any video content, okay? Because these dog places are getting very creative. So if they had like video of the fashion show at the other location, if they did that, then you can put that link on the video, you can put it on the landing page. Video sells, okay? So stuff like that, if there was a reason to have video, don't forget to ask about it.
That was gonna be on our Facebook back to it.
Okay, Facebook's good.
We're gonna fit,
Okay,
but their fifth, or their fourth box, which you don't have here, is how you can track all the analytics that you get in. And that's where, what's our fourth box. So tracking of that information.
yeah, I
We
know.
wanted extra credit.
Yeah. Yeah, because usually Maryland's the extra credit guy. Okay, all right, but all good. Okay, just keep in mind that you were like, you had a lot of good ideas and that's going to be like big costs. So you better be prepared to justify that.
You said, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, but we are smart enough to know that, you know, at some point somebody goes, this is great, what's it going to cost me? You know, so be.
Exposure just in that, it's gonna be.
Okay.
And, you know, if we get some of the providers of the grooming materials that we can get.
Okay.
We get the dog stuff.
You are better be charging a heck of a lot for concept and strategy.
Yeah, but it's upfront stuff, it's not back end, because you get a lot of stuff done before you start.
You are charging. Okay, because like if you're running around getting vendors to give you discounted materials and, you know, getting drawings done and doing all that and you're not charging for that strategy, that's not going to be a good campaign for you. Okay, so you just came up with some good ideas.
It's kind of just part of the marketing in the front end, I mean, they gotta buy the other.
They've got about a promotional
The
product.
promotional
and you're
products, they
gonna
gotta
sell
get,
it
you know, we're gonna
twice
make
the
dog phones that go on their refrigerator, you know.
Yeah. Going, oh, it's all good.
You know,
Okay.
little hand wrist, my dogs.
You don't forget about the Stein Mart example too, because I could go back to I have loyal customers. The key there was the loyal customers. So can I say to the loyal customers, hey, give me, you know, 2 of your friends who live over in that area, and I'll give you 1 night of boarding. Okay, so that you got some opportunity there. Okay. All right, yeah, or and you can even do that. You could be like, for, you know, it's like a person, stay 4 days, get a day free, because I'm going to make more money on the 4-day board than the 1-day board. Okay. All right, let's see our last group who has a software company. What are you going to do?
Well, we're concerned because the price point for our product is so high
Mm-hmm.
that all we can really do, we think, is generate the leads, because after that, it's a one-on-one sales cycle.
Correct.
From the sales person to the, you know,
Okay, and your timing's right.
right.
Okay, because
We have to hurry.
what do the only thing you want to come on is when's the fiscal year ending.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that, I'm right. It's the end of the first quarter. You have a 9-month sales cycle. You have no other alternative, Mr. Kressler, than generate a bunch of leads now that can still close by the end of the year. So that's the right objective.
And Providence, you said that the sales volume of the buyer has got to be 20 million or more?
I think it should be at least $50 million because
Oh, you math was you. Yeah, okay.
the company is buying $100,000 software.
No, I agree.
Its percentage will be 2% of $50 million. So, you know, nobody will spend 2% more than 2% on a software. So if you target that, it's a $50 million company.
Right.
2% is your software cost, $100,000.
So he's already targeting legitimately qualified people.
And I think the elements probably would be the testimonials, because we are not running a pet, what was that, a pet grooming company or something, it's like a
Uh-huh.
testing company.
Right.
So testimonials from large clients like Kraft.
That's a good idea.
We need referrals. Yes.
You could use referral. Yeah, B2B is tougher on the referrals.
But if it's something, I mean, let's say we're selling an Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got to have accounting. So,
Yeah, they refer, they just don't do it as a result of a request.
oh, okay.
Okay, so B2B will refer, okay, but they do. It's more of a personal reference than it is. Hey, can you give me a reference on this? Because you're going to spend $100,000. I don't want to be wrong on this. Whereas like, oh, you should go to my vet. He's the greatest. It's a lot easier to do that. So you can't it's just less successful to overtly ask for referrals in a B2B situation.
But if
What?
Like the copiers, like, we'll ask each other what.
I mean, you can do it. I'm not saying you can't do it. It's just harder.
But if the product cost $100,000, I don't know, my attitude was that if you're asking me to spend $100,000, I'm not gonna do it on the basis of you sending me postcards.
No, you're not. Yeah, so this is not, this is where I was, it's not a postcard.
Referrals we're talking about.
Yeah, what is your elements then? If you're not going to do a postcard, which I would not recommend in any way, what are your elements?
We have to decide what kind of software it is. Is it targeting oil and gas, or what kind of software you're having? So you will have like trade shows or something like, for oil and gas, you have software.
Right.
Oil and gas, we'll have a show here, just like what we had a couple of months back.
Okay.
IT show, then we can have our own, presentations there with the video.
Okay. That's actually really good thinking. So usually when you sell big ticket items like that, you're in a trade show environment and stuff like that. So now you don't know where the timing is. The trade show's in October. The guy needs leads now or they won't close by December. But if the timing was right and it was like, do you have trade shows coming up? Like that should certainly be a component.
I went to an oil and gas show a couple of months back.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of software guys.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say if it's like the company software for something like Facebook or Oracle, I would put a trade show on the West Coast because most of the IT companies are there.
Right.
This is called the East West Coast. So, as I said, we have to find out what kind of software here. Just doesn't say that right now.
Right. Well, I mean, you were getting too in depth. I mean, so everything you said was completely correct. So things to look at in a big ticket item, dimensional mail. Okay? Send them something in a box, send them something, because the improvement versus traditional direct mail and dimensional mail is a 9% lift in response. So, and it's worth it. It's worth it to pay $2 or $3 to get a lead for something that's going to spend $100,000.
Thinking is, with these kind of software for $100,000, you would want to get some add-ons packages, service packages.
True.
First year free so that you don't have to spend more money than invested.
Well, you're flipping over into pricing strategies, but you're right. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, from a business standpoint, he's completely correct. All right, so let's just summarize that. You want to look at dimensional direct mail, okay? Not just your basic everyday standard stuff, because it's a high ticket item and it is worth that spend to get the attention of the prospect. What you said about the trade show is brilliant, okay? So if your timing's right and there's a pool of trade show leads sitting there that they haven't, nurtured, then we could be a nurture situation. If the trade show's coming up, then you want to say, okay, what's that process on the trade show? What are you going to do with those leads? How are you going to get them through the funnel? How can we help you drive people to your booth at the trade show? There's a lot of things you can do, but the timing has to work. Now, first quarter, that's good, because most trade shows, are usually somewhere between the beginning of the year and May, and then they pick up again between September and the second week in November, and then they're done.
The fact, though, the point that you just made is they have contacts with customers that didn't buy in the past.
Right.
And so to go back to those potential clients that they didn't close could be very valuable.
Yep. Who's sitting in the funnel? Okay.
They've heard
Yeah.
you, and you know the person to talk to. Just getting the right guy is the hard part.
Something inside of that, the one last little piece of information is year over year sales were down. Okay, so that, I don't know this for a fact, but I think the pipeline's depleted. Okay, so that's why I was tending towards lead gen, because I'm like, okay, if you had a good funnel, your year one sales, there'd be people coming through the funnel all the time. Now, you could be right too, Marilyn. So it could have been like, I've got people languishing in the funnel, and I need to fix that. So that would be the other question to ask, like, okay, well, what does it look like for the future currently? Like what does that pipeline look like for Q2, Q3, whatever? And if they know that and there's people in there and you need to push them through, then it could be a nurture application.
Well, and maybe on lead gen, maybe the strategy is for us to help them broaden their market. Maybe they have not
It's a $100,000 item, so they probably have pieces of this working really great, but that's why the dimensional mail might be the ticket here, because they might be doing something that looks like, we've got our package, it goes, our letter pack of direct mail, or we're sending emails out all the time, and what they really need to do is shake people up. And the dimensional mail might be a really good way to do that. Okay, but just like in all the situations, there's pieces and parts. Like you'd have to get a 2-page story on this to have everything that you needed to know. Yeah. Now that's the other thing. Like if it's a brand new company and it's a 6 to 9, then you probably have impact on that. What can we do to shorten it? If it's a really big company, if it's Oracle or something, like they're already trying to figure that out. So it depends on who the audience is. Okay, but all the good news is all of that was good stuff. Like you guys are thinking really well. Okay. All right, so in summary, customers primarily want new customers, additional sales to existing customers, and customer loyalty. Sometimes you need to do a prep step first, like your data is crappy, we don't know where people are in the funnel. Okay, we know you got a bunch of leads, but we don't know, have they bought something else yet? Are they too early or whatever? So you need to let's do some kind of a campaign that gets us our baseline. Where are all these people? And then we can work on converting them. Or you need something to clean the data so that you can do a really cool piece later. Don't go over objectives. If you do too many things at once, it gets convoluted. People don't end up knowing what to do. That Steinmart thing, the reason that worked is there wasn't a lot of copy. They did a good job with that, but they were getting dangerously close to what? Okay, because I was like, now what am I getting? $10 off of $25. I could get $1,000. There's 10 $250 gift certificates. There was a lot of moving pieces in there, and they could have confused people, except that they had the rest of the copy at a minimum. So it worked, okay? But every time you start like, do this and you can do this or that, like that, get 50% off or $250 on your next purchase of $1,000, people start to be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Okay, so watch that. Did I say objectives, track what you want to track. Okay, so it's early in the year for those guys. You got a 9-month cycle, it's March. Then I could test messaging. I can do that now, and I can figure it out so that we get better as we keep going. Okay, I could test offers now. Is it a seminar? Is it a white paper? What makes you do something? Good to know that in April, because I can keep applying it through the rest of the year and get better and better results. So there's a lot of things you could have done. Is it the video that's driving it or the webinar? Is it what's happening here? Okay? And then you can integrate both the overt things, like when are you going to buy, along with the linky things that tell you somebody's thinking about it. Does that make sense? Stuff that drives people to a landing page. Okay? The landing page lets me track. Did they hit the landing page? Because the only way they knew about that was it was on those other mechanisms. So you want different landing pages, right? So if you come out of Twitter, it's the same, but if you come out of Twitter. If you come out of LinkedIn, I want to know you came out of LinkedIn. If you come out of the direct mail, I want to know you came out of the direct mail. And if you came off the signage at the trade show, I want to know that you came off there. So you basically would want to put them all to different landing pages, even though they look the same. Does that make sense? So it's same landing page, copied 4 times, different URL. Okay? So then I go to this landing page, I'm going to learn something, either overt, action, covert, what they're clicking on. Some of those people become qualified, and they go into the sales process. And the salespeople are calling them and seeing what's going on. Some people, and that drives revenue. Other people either aren't responding or they're not qualified yet, so they get the rest of the tactics, which could be additional direct mail, could be emails now because I have their email address because they went to the landing page. It's just all those other tactics now become nurture tactics. Okay? And as relevant as you can make them, the better. Okay? So let's go back to the nonprofit example. That nonprofit is going to send out newsletters, usually 1 or 2 a year. Okay? Maybe electronic, maybe in print. Okay? And they're going to want to do those as a one-size-fits-all, 5,000, they all look alike. Okay? But in reality, if I had them go to a landing page first and I saw which of those 3 things they clicked on, I could swap out the main story based on the thing they clicked on. Same newsletter, I'm just making that first story variable based on, was it the respite care, was it the, camps in Guatemala, what was it? Okay? So ideally, you want to take what you're learning from that first thing and apply it to all the other channels. So that's conceivably a reason for the newsletter to be variable. Okay? Because the more I think you're talking to me, the more engaged I'm in the process. Okay? And then what happens is all those other nurture tactics, you give them a way to get interested. Like there's always a call to action on that. Want to learn more, want to talk to a sales rep now, you want to see a demo, you want to, so that as you keep on talking to me and I'm getting more and more relevant, and go back to the triangle funnel, I didn't care about that at all, so I wasn't paying attention. I started to pay attention, not sure really why. Oh, I've had some pain, and so now that really makes sense to me. Okay, I'm ready to really start looking. So you want to give them an option as they're moving through that when they get to the point that, okay, this is enough pain, I want some help, they can click the button and declare, I need help. So that can be, that white paper that you've been advertising to me that I haven't clicked on, all of a sudden I click on it. Okay? And then they go in the sales process because now they've taken an action. Does that make sense? All right, so let's look at this guy. This is an equipment dealer, like a Xerox agent person, agent company. They sell the equipment. All right, so what do we say? Color prints for less than a dime is the cover. Look inside to find out how a Champion Eye Center, that was the name of the company, can print in color for just a dime per page. Introducing the Xerox Color Pack bundle, color prints for less than a dime, including the equipment. There's everything that is included. If you're spending more than a dime per page for color copies or prints, you're paying too much. There's a Pearl to respond, or you could call. Here's the landing page. Color, pounding this point home. Color prints for less than a dime. It's time to find out if you're paying too much to print in color. Complete this form to the right and click submit. The company will call you back and help you figure out if you're spending too much. You'll see how much you can save with the Xerox Color Pack bundle. We'll start printing in color for less than a dime per page. Good campaign?
Is that going targeting the printer?
Like the business. It wasn't a production piece of equipment. It was like an office copy. Yeah. Okay, so who's the audience? Start with that. Who's the audience? Yeah, so small businesses. Okay, so that's reasonable, right? Okay. What are they trying to do? Well, get leads, right? Because you're not going to say, hey, can you come out here? I want to sign a contract for 10 grand, like whatever that is right now. Okay. So it's a lead process. Okay. All right. What are they going to be able to track? Okay, so who is going to respond to this? Like what core customers of Morris or prospects of Morris are likely to respond to this? Okay, yeah, well, let's assume we send it to office managers or CEOs or whoever we send it to. Okay, but who is that message going to appeal to? That's the problem, okay? Who knows that their color printing costs less than a dime? Okay? So that means I have something already, and I know it costs less than a dime. So should I send this to anybody else? Do you think the CFO knows it costs less than a dime?
No, he doesn't.
He knows it costs $30,000 a year. Okay, so I would have to figure out the dime cost, right? And what would make me want to figure out the dime cost?
Because maybe I'm thinking I'm spending more.
Yes, exactly. So basically I already know I'm spending more and I'm looking for something better, and I'm having some pain. So I've got top two tiers again, 3% and whatever it was, 3 to 9 or whatever. So top 10%, this probably appeals to, because I already know this is a problem and I figured out that it's costing me 12 cents and 10 cents looks good. What about the rest of the people? I don't think you know it costs less than a dime. I don't think, if you don't know, it costs whatever it's, I don't think you know exactly what that per page cost is. And I don't think you're going to respond to that because I don't think they're going to even know what it means. And the only people who are going to respond are the people that have the problem already because it doesn't offer them anything else.
I think there might be a marketplace assumption that solar is more expensive than a dime, and that a dime sounds cheap.
Conceivably. I mean, that's conceivable. So he's saying, you guys, Scott's saying, people may think it doesn't matter if they know because they're thinking it cost me more than that. It's possible.
Big companies have already got places where they go shop,
What?
like us.
Oh, okay.
So if they come to us, they're gonna come to us because they
can do it for that.
Their sales associates and stuff have been told to move you carry a day.
Well,
And they cost more than a dime, and we're gonna cost more.
well, I mean, that's from your perspective. That would have been risky because they're like, well, I'm spending 20 with them. You know, like you would have had a whole other problem. But for these guys, my biggest concern with this is I don't get anybody. I'm not educating them on, you know, what would be the indications that things are costing you too much. So I'm not going to get any below that of that pyramid.
Try to get more of the pyramid, that's what you're.
Well, yeah, because this message is it only is going to appeal to people who kind of already know I'm have an issue there. Okay? Now, if I said, hey, learn how much copies really cost you, that may have been intriguing to people who weren't sure they had a problem. Okay? Does that make sense? You see where I'm going with that? So this is an example of something where no matter what happens, my response is diminished because I cut my audience down to 1/10.
And that might be an issue for them.
Okay?
So if you said something like, is your copying more than a dime, learn how, and then you could
Well,
take it
but the other side
a
of that
worksheet or
is,
something, or.
I mean, Don might worry about the fact that I might be paying more than a dime for a copy, but she has no control over the budget, can't write the checks, can't even make the decision on what machine we have. So, it's kind of a moot point for her.
Now, I think they...
In fact, if it's an in-house plant, their copy may cost 4 cents, but now you got to throw in the room they're using, you got to throw in however many employees they may have in there, and the box, and everything else that goes along with that piece of pie. Their cost may be a good thing.
You guys are thinking like printers who are trying to sell them on outsourcing it. I'm just saying look at that, which is fine. I mean, that's actually good logic, but I'm saying look at this direct mail campaign. Okay, you are exactly right, David. Like if you were selling against that as a printer, that's exactly what you would do. But I'm just saying already I've cut my available audience down dramatically. Okay? And if you look at the landing page, there's no covert stuff. I had a pearl, so I could have said like, don't know how to calculate the cost of your color? And I had the top 10 things to add up. And I could have seen that they clicked on that. Okay, which would tell me, even though they weren't willing to give me their name yet, it's a pearl. I know what they're doing. Okay? So even though they're not ready to say, yes, I want to talk to a salesperson, I could see that they're thinking of it.
You know they clicked on the thing.
Yeah, I know they hit this landing page, but I don't know what turned them off when they got there now. Okay? But if I had some of those overt links in there, stuff that they could read, then I could say they got there and they clicked on, something that tells me they didn't know how to calculate it. So my sales rep messaging or my next direct mail campaign would talk about that. Okay? All right, so here's one from a dermatologist. What are we going to track here? Well, this is one of those clearinghouse thingies, where you like type where you are and they tell you the doctors in your area.
The movie.
Okay.
I like the movie. I like videos.
Okay. So now, their videos are very compelling. They sell. So they can click views. Okay, so that'll tell you, okay, the messaging's relevant. People are watching the movie. Okay. Now, their city, zip code, state, and procedure that you want. Okay. So if I'm this company who's basically selling to the doctors, you want to be on my service, they're picking up, this is what everybody asked for. Like you do Botox, And, you know, of our audience, 70% of them are asking about a Botox treatment. Like, you need to be on my site. Okay? So they actually can pick up the most common procedures. They can, and Mr. Doctor, you need to be on my service because last month 30% of my calls came from, or of the hits came from that zip code. So if you think about this, it's not the doctor selling, it's the company selling to the doctor. They've got some good data now to get that guy to sign up. Does that make sense? Okay, so actually pretty good stuff on here. Okay? All right, how about SharePoint solutions? What are we going to look for here?
Well, you know, I'm assuming that the just getting started, intermediate, and advanced is new customers, returning customers, right?
Well,
I can't see that small, so that's,
it's free full-length in-depth training session. Like I think they train on different software and stuff. Okay, their main things that they sell are the training, the consulting, and their own software. So I can click what people click on.
yeah, that's what I see what you click on, I see what you're motivated to do.
Right. There's a video at the top that says free training video. So you can click on how many views of that there were. You can track that. Down there, it's like, are you a novice person just getting started? Like I just need, or do I need advanced Excel training? So that would tell me, like my next message, if they're just getting started, I don't need to tell them about our 87 advanced classes. Okay, so I would know what that next email should be about based upon which of those buttons they're clicking on. Okay? And let's say they clicked on the video, they clicked on the intermediate and the advanced. How qualified are they?
Well, I think they're going to be pretty qualified. First, they watch the video, which is a positive thing. That's a couple more minutes out of their time. They are interested because they spend 2 minutes or a minute watching the video, and there's a time element that it should be too short or too long. And they click on, let's say, the intermediate first to see what it gave, but what are you going to teach them above that?
Okay.
I think they're very qualified.
Okay, so the more clicking on this page, the more qualified they are. That is what, if we're scoring it, that they want to act on those as quickly as possible. And somewhere in there, I'm sure, I mean, I just have the front page, but I'm sure if you click on that at the bottom of an intermediate, it says, do you want a sales rep to call? So the ultimately qualified would be the people that fill in that information. But anybody who's multiple clicking is going to be a more highly qualified lead. Okay? All right, so now the other piece of this is mobile. So if most people now are opening emails on their mobile devices, and that, so you know, you want mobile in there because it creates that interactivity that you're looking for, and it also increases the value of any of the print that you do. Okay, so here's like a table tent sort of thing. So it's Boston Market, Holiday Help. It's got a QR code. The thing on the right is what that's the mobile site. So you can tap for special offers to Boston Market, and you can tap to submit a tip. Okay, so what are they tracking?
Is it submitted as a tip?
Yeah, like your own holiday tip.
I like that. They're tracking how many people come in.
What about the delivery mechanism? Is that a good idea? The little table thing that sticks there? It's a good idea. Like, you're sitting there waiting for my food. I might as well do something. You know, I'm already in the Boston market. Why wouldn't I look at that? Okay? So they're going to get hits. That's one thing to track. They're going to know whether I tapped to see the special offers and whether I downloaded the offer. You know, get 10% off your next Boston Market meal, which is what's going to be on that page. And then I can also see, oh, you're submitting a tip. Because if you're submitting a tip, you're more engaged.
I like the tip on there because it tells you what you're doing right and wrong. They can say, well, we napkins are this.
No, this was like your own holiday tips. Like if somebody said, I would have gone on there and said, oh, I always, you know, carve my pumpkins out and make them into centerpieces. Yeah. Which that does not happen. But that's what it was, kind of to get their audience interacting with each other, which is a customer experience thing. Okay? All right, so let's do this out loud, okay? So work group exercise, let's think about applications. So direct mail, you know, we want to track response, you know, qualification, are you engaged in the process? I mean, pretty much those are going to be the key elements on everything. Posters, we just saw an example on that. Where was the poster located? So I could put that kind of tracking in it. Are you listening to the van videos? Did you end up showing up because you saw it and looked for more information from that poster? Things like that. Catalogs. What do I want to do with that?
We want to know what kind of products they're looking at.
Okay.
Going from catalogs to web pages with more details, so you're expressing interest in a particular product.
Big.
What about catalog, hardback or cyberspace? Because if it's in, so you know, go to email or iPhone to look at, what people are looking at. Are they just looking through the catalog, turning pages? Or are they clicking on things? Because if it's on the internet, you're somebody's catalog, you click on that picture, they look tell you more about it.
Right.
So you know what the people are actually looking at.
So I can do the same thing in print because I could put a QR code in there, or I could do image recognition, and I could make it so you get that more information off the print version. And if I got really sexy, I could use Blipper or one of those things, and then I not only do I get the more information, there's now a button that says order now, and I go right to the website to order. Yeah, always order now. So catalogs are a cool thing. Video sells. If people have video, it needs to be linked to the print. It sells. The response rates just skyrocket when video is involved. Okay, business cards. What can I do clever with a business card? Where does the QR take you, David? Okay. Boo, boring, ick. You can do it, but it's boring. Okay? Okay, that's still cool, yeah. What else could I do that would be new and innovative? I could. So if I was a sales rep, I could put a QR code on there and be like, hi, my name is Kate Dunn. I've been selling for 35 years. It's important to me that my customers are always satisfied. I consider this the blah, 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 blah. And now I have a personality. I'm just not a name on a card. And my friends call me Sparkle. Where is she? She's not even here. Okay, oh, there she is. So think about stuff like that. That business card could be more interactive. Okay, and if I'm selling, you know, like a bit, that could be differentiating. You know, how many print salesmen have been in here to see me in the last 6 months? 900, and I'm not remembering any of them. You know, but you do something like that, it might be more memorable. Who told me the story you did? Tell the story about the guy who sold oil and gas drilling. So what were you doing for him? You put like some kind of little table stand-up thing.
Yeah, because we bring, there's just this little kid that just got out of college, and so just first job, and he would always bring to these other oil and gas companies and just trying to get to the customer cookies or whatever, donuts and wine, and he put his business card there, but everybody else was doing the same thing. You go in and you see, you know, something here from somebody else, something here from somebody else. So we made these like, we called them table tents, but they really weren't. It was like a bigger business card. They were about 7 inches tall, and they opened up, but it was like a miniature brochure with just everything kind of summed up. So when they saw who it was from, it matched, you know, the business card and everything. And they were like, oh, well, with Coke, they were like, oh, well, let's see what this guy does. Real brief, you know, and then he ordered 20 to see how they worked, and then he just ordered another one.
Okay, because it's different. It's not a business card on top of a box of Danish. It had something a little bit different to it. That's differentiating. It's different and sticks out. Okay, brochures, I think we've talked about links to videos, link to product things, link to brochure and for more in-depth information. You can do tons with the brochure. Table tents, I think we just talked about that. Tray liners, does anybody print tray liners for people? Same kind of thing. I mean, they're going to be sitting there looking at that tray. I can put a QR code on it or a specific URL. I can link them someplace. Door hangers. Anybody doing stuff on door hangers? Okay. Labels. We saw that today at lunch. The Heinz ketchup bottle has a QR code on it that took you where? The Heinz Trivia Challenge or whatever. But basically, that's about engagement. Like they've been to my website, they played trivia, Heinz Trivia, they're involved in the brand. Okay? So that's good. CD covers and labels, anybody printing those? What can I do with those?
Link to YouTube videos and MP3.
Okay? Like, hey, you like this one? How about this one? Here's a little taste. Okay? So you could be doing stuff like that. And once I put something like that on there, it's trackable now. Okay? And even ad specialties. Anybody putting QR codes or specialized URLs on coffee mugs or stress balls or any of that stuff yet? I mean, again, we hand that stuff out all day long. We never know if the person still has that sitting on their desk. Okay? What if you came up with an idea where it was like, you know, those things that you sit on your desk, nonsensicals, I don't like them, but some people do. But it was like, when they clicked on it, it was like, you know, hey, this is your quote for the day, and it changed every day. Okay? Hi, this is Kate Dunn from InfoTrends, and here's your quote for the day. And then tomorrow, if it's quote for the day, the first time they do it, I wonder if there's another one. Next day, they're going to hear my name every time they click on it. Could try something like that. That's just an audio file. I know! Now Marilyn's doing that. Okay, so basically, you can build something into pretty much anything. Okay? So your goal is, I want my customer to be able to tell if this is working. So how do I make that happen? I have to give them a reason to do something, and I have to give them a way to interact. Okay? All right, so we just did that. Okay. So basically, just in summary, and we did this yesterday, like in order for you to be good at this, like you have to do your work, your prep work, you have to be insightful about what might help, you have to use your little noggin and think, it's a sales cycle of 6 to 9 months and it's November. I'm not going to help you close more business working on leads. We may need to look on, is there anybody in that pipeline we can close? Okay? So you've got to be able to think through the basic business things of, is that, you know, this is what we need to do. What you're thinking is not going to work. Okay? Ask if their response and conversion rates are increasing, flat, or declining. Okay? Because if I've had something that's been working but it's declining, what does that tell you? It's stale. Okay? So I may need to resuscitate it with print. Okay? Or it's just stale, like it's non-differentiating. Like how many business cards can stick on the top of Danish boxes? Nobody cares. So I need something different, like Sparkle came up with. Okay? Okay, ask questions that reveal what they track now and that they track very little, if not at all, is the answer that you want. Okay? Quantify the value of knowing the key information, which means if I know, you know, how am I going to change my behavior if I know you shop 4 times a month? If it's not, then you don't need to know that, okay? But if it's important for me to know that my customers didn't share this on Facebook as much as they directly emailed people, because that tells me I should not take that option away, and I need to make sure that I need to go beyond the 3 people that they're going to direct mail, because you're not going to sit there or email. You're not going to sit there and email 36 people. So can I move them to Facebook? Is it even good if I move them to Facebook? You wouldn't know that unless you knew what had happened. Okay? Quantify the value of knowing, so you want to know what a sale's worth, you want to know what a lead is worth, you want to know what their current conversion rates are, like all that stuff, so you can figure out, hey, what if you knew this better, you could close more. Ask if they have a link between flat or declining results and not being able to analyze the data. Okay? Sometimes you have to make that link for them. Remember we talked yesterday about being quiet? So Mr. Customer, can you tell if they're responding to these messages? No, we don't have any tracking. Okay, so Mr. Customer, I may go there and be really interested, but you know, something stopped me, and I may not give a damn at all. Can you tell the difference? No, I can't. Well, then how do you know where to spend the next part of your time? Because do I want to spend it with a guy who doesn't give a damn? And you have to be quiet. Because the answer is no, he doesn't care. Like, I don't want to spend time with him, okay? So if you ask him those questions to get them to the point where they're like, I cannot tell, and you're right, I only have X amount of resources and I need to devote that to the people who have a chance of closing, it's important for me to tell. So now when you say, okay, what if we can help you with that, it makes more sense. Okay? If you pitch too early, hey, can I help you with that? They go, yeah, what's that going to cost? Oh, no, I don't want to spend any money on it. So you have to ask the questions that lead to it. Okay? Introduce the idea, link to the value of knowing the information, the value increase on the marketing spend, and then sit there and wait for them to answer. And then if I can figure out a way, Mr. Customer, that you could get smarter about who's doing what so that you can put your attention on the people most likely to close, would you be interested in doing it? Yes, I would. The mistakes always happen when you jump to that question before you ask those preliminary questions. Okay? All right, so you can add tracking to literally anything. The offer must match the objective and be relevant, okay? Ask only, and that's important. Has anybody had, like, I had a school one time that wanted to give out first aid kits. I was like, why? Like, why is that going to make me think of you? And the answer was, I have a room full of first aid kits and I'd like to get rid of them, okay? So basically they had a stupid purchase from before. Well, I didn't want to participate, you know, like, I mean, it's not going to help me. So that offer has to be relevant to what you're doing or it doesn't work. Because now I've linked a first aid kit to a school and I don't think that makes any sense. You see what I'm saying? So like I can't offer something that doesn't matter. Okay? Ask only for information that you can use, so don't fall into the Steinmart trap with the how many times do you come here. And make it as easy for your prospect to engage as possible. So don't ask them, give me some information before you watch this video. Give me some information before you download this white paper. Go through 85 gyrations before you can engage with me. The thing I want is the engagement, so don't make it hard. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, like, now they're trying to qualify it, okay? Which is fine if I'm targeting people that are really interested, okay? And I want to divide that up. These people are interested right now, sales team go. Like I'm trying to make my sales team more productive. So it's good if that's the objective. I want my salespeople only paying attention to the people that are really ready. But if the objective is I got to fill the funnel, it is not good because it stops people from engaging. Does that make sense?
Plus it came from a link. They emailed me already and I clicked on the link, so why can't they already have it?
Yeah, it's annoying. I want it. Okay? All right, so now let's talk about what collection methods are available to you, okay? So you can say to the customer, okay, can you keep track of all the calls that come in and keep a little tally? Has anybody ever asked their customer to do that? Yeah, well, what would happen if you did ask your customer to do that?
Too much work.
They would not do it. Okay, and so things where, like the pet thing that we saw, the example, call 804, whatever the number was, is that good? So how are you going to sell your prospect that he needs a landing page in there? Okay, but let's just say he's saying, no, I just want them to call my number. I don't want to pay for a landing page. I just want to put my number on there.
And you could say something like, most people, when they are interested in the subject, will go online before they make a phone call.
Okay, so their website has to be on there. Okay, that is an important fact, and so that would be good expertise and advice to offer to them.
Like 46% of people that added a landing page got 173% more in business.
If you knew that, yeah, I know you're making that up, but no, that if you know the fact, that's true. But still, if you're saying, like, you have to build the case that what he wants to do isn't going to work. Okay, so you have to be like, okay, that's great. We'll have him call you. Now, how many calls do you usually get a day? Oh, we get 150 calls. Okay, well, is all that person does is just answer the phone? Oh no, they have to like get the coffee ready and put files in the files and do the invoicing when a patient comes in. Okay, what are the chances that they can't keep track of the calls that are coming in and remembering to ask, did they come from this direct mail or not? Now that is going on, good point, okay? And Mr. Vet, if you don't know if the calls are coming in from the direct mail or if they're just coming in because you're getting referrals or whatever, will you know whether you should do this again or not? No, gee, Kate, I won't. Okay, so what if, Mr. Vet, I can come up with a way that we take that pressure off of the receptionist, nothing falls through the cracks, and you can tell whether the direct mail is working. Oh, that'd be great. That's a landing page. Okay? Or, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. You can actually get like if you have one of those, yeah, you can get a special phone line that tracks. Like there's other things to do if they want that. But you gotta you don't like, hey, how about a landing page? Like, because they go, no, I don't need one. So you gotta say, well, how are you gonna tell how this is working? Is that person gonna have the time to keep track of that? What if they don't have time to keep track of it? Well, if you have some days where they tracked it and some days where they didn't, how valid is the data? Now, at that point, they're like, oh, gosh, you're right, this isn't going to work. Okay? All right, send calls to a specific line in the phone system. You can set stuff like that up. So if they absolutely super duperly want a phone number tracking mechanism, then see if you can do that, because at least it would be actual data. Client reports to you sales, leads, and donations. I mean, it's human error, okay? So now the thing is, they can do it, but it's human error. Like you could, if that's all you've got, then you got to go with it. But here's my recommendation on that. Don't just say at the beginning of the campaign, hey, you need to track this, and never say another word about it, and show up when the campaign is over and say, hey, can I see what you did? Because the answer is going to be, I did nothing. So if that's what you end up with, you want to call them every morning and say, how many did we get yesterday? So that at worst case, they can forget for a day. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, because you will get situations where that is the only thing anybody will agree to. Okay, but you still want to know that it worked. So that's how you can do it. Coupon redemptions. Now, I'm going to show you something in a minute, but coupon redemptions, you have the coupon, okay? Now, the other thing is you can do a match back afterwards, okay? Because you know nobody wants to turn a customer away who says, oh, I forgot my coupon. You want to give it to them, okay? But then if you're going to tally at the end of it, here's all the coupons that came back, and you were also giving away, you're going to have a disconnect, okay? So one of the things you can do is, if it's the kind of sale where we know everybody who bought, like we have a database, you can say, okay, let's compare everybody who bought to the mailing list. And then we can at least say, okay, they didn't all bring coupons in, but of the people we sent to, this many people actually bought, and that's what you wanted anyway, right? Does that make sense? Okay. Tell a friend referral, you can do written, you know, if that's better electronically. Written forms are a pain in the neck. And then online tell a friend and referral forms are better than the paper version for obvious reasons. Okay.
What was the difference between those last two things?
Well, the tell a friend referral, like you'll get like, you know, like you're sitting in someplace and they make you write out. Oh. Like you're not going to get the kind of response that you're going to get like on, I can forward this to my friend. Okay, because it's more work. I have to write something down. Okay. Online tell a friend where you know how you have that like corner thing in the email and it says like forward to a friend? That's much easier, you get a higher response for that. So if the customer's like, I just want to do it on paper, you need to have the conversation with him. That is not going to work as well as the electronic version. You're making it too hard for the customer to do it. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, we're going to skip that. Okay. Set the right expectations with your customers. Now you guys, I put this in the book, it's going to be hard for you to see, but you have to calibrate the expectations of the customer. So look at this, these are coupon redemptions, and if you can read this, if a customer's like, I want to use a coupon, look at those redemptions. What kind of coupon would you tell them? Okay, yeah. Well, the best is instant on pack, which you can't do.
Oh, you just tear it off.
Yeah, you know, like those ones in the grocery store where you tear it off and use it. I mean, you're not going to do that, okay? But the second best one, what's the second best one? Yes, okay? So if they're like, I want to mail out the coupon, you might say, look, if you really care about redemption, if this is, do you want them to redeem or you just want to make them aware? Because if you make them aware, then the one you send in the mail accomplishes the awareness objective. But if you really want them to use the coupon so that they come in, try your pizza, and love it, they'll be more qualified if they download it off the internet because I took action. Does that make sense? So you would say to them, let's put the coupon on a landing page. Because if they go there, they're probably at 11% going to actually use that coupon. If I just give you the coupon, you're not going to. Does that make sense?
Relative numbers, so one percentage of people who go to the website, right?
What?
The 11%.
No, I think that's all coupons.
Yeah, it's 11 of all coupons, the ones that are printed off of somebody's website at home and then brought with them. If it's non-food, it's 11.1, and if it's food, it's 16.8. So those are pretty high. If it's compared to, let's say, a direct mail coupon, non-food, 2.1 redemption rate.
So is that like a percentage of the number of coupons
That redeemed. I brought it in and I got my discount.
so if you did 1,000 of them, then if you mailed out 1,000 things in 2.1, so 21 people came in? Is that
Right, right, okay. So the internet download is the most redeemed of the stuff you can do, yes.
I mean, isn't the internet home for coupons? Aren't those, when people are searching for those? I mean, how do they get awareness of them?
You could say, your piece could say, like Steinmark, go to my website and get your coupon for the 10% off. They're more likely to actually use the coupon if they do it that way. Versus you send me the coupon like Bed Bath & Beyond. Everybody's seen those big jumbo things. I have to have it in my purse, bring it with me, blah, blah, blah. Now, it may still be driving people to the store, but I don't know. Like, I can't prove it. Well, that's different. I think that was in there for, was there electronic handout, electronic checkout? Paperless.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where you get, like, I mean, Michael's does that right now. If you're standing in the Michael's line, though, do you have a coupon? No, I do not. Go to this website while you're standing there, and you get the coupon on your phone, and you scan it. Okay? So basically, you need to kind of know that. That's why I put it in the book. You can save this now, okay? Because if somebody says, here's what I'm thinking, you could go back and say, okay, well, I think there's a better way, okay? Here's the response rates to standard mail advertising, 1987 to 2002. So the white bars is 2012, okay? So I just put this in there because that's the expectation. Department stores do great, okay? Credit card, not so much or not as well, okay? So people need to understand that you're not going to get a 47% response rate, okay? So these are things, and why did department stores work so well?
Well, if you shopped there before, you already...
Because the stuff you buy at department stores is usually more expensive. So when I see that coupon, I'm like, I want to use it, okay? Plus, I'm sure they're jerry-rigging that, like scanning like they do at Macy's. Like, I forgot my coupon, but they're still scanning it, so the number looks high. Okay, response rates to first-class advertising mail. Okay, so notice, just because it's first class doesn't mean it gets a bigger response rate. Unless, of course, where does it do that? Like, you a little bit better on credit cards, less on department stores, little bit less on medical, okay? So it's only going to be, and remember telephone's off now because when this was 1987, that was the height of the MCI, AT&T war. Like, there was a lot of direct mail telephone back then, okay? Familiarity with the organization, I mentioned this is a biggie. So remember we talked about awareness, okay? So you're a previous customer. In 2012, your response rates look like 18.9%. So you already do business with this firm, they've sent you a coupon, you're going to use it, okay? Organization is known. I've heard of you. So I don't have to build awareness, and you send me a coupon, 2.3%. Okay? I don't have any idea who you are, and you send me a coupon, only 1.8. So if there's no awareness and they want you to send that coupon, you're going to have a very low response rate. Now, the mailing of the coupon actually gives you some awareness for the next go round, but that customer needs to know they don't know who you are. This is going to be hard. Okay? Most effective tactics, comparing the most effective tactics used when the most difficult tactics to execute. All right, so how could you help your customer accomplish the first two? The top bar, the lighter bar, is how effective it is. Okay, so the most effective thing is a landing page, simplified landing page creation. Okay, and the difficulty to execute it is actually a pretty good ratio. So you can actually step in there and do that for them. Okay? Look at number 2, aligning traffic source and landing page messaging. That's variable landing page messaging. You could do that. Okay? So you want to see, we could do, the thing important about this is what's that lower bar? How difficult is it to do? And do I get a big payoff to do it? So if they said, simplify my landing page, I wish I could do it, but I don't have the time, it's worth it to them to get you to do it, because the effectiveness is huge. Does that make sense? So you want to talk to them about stuff like this. It doesn't make sense, if it's hard for you to do, but it has a big payoff, then outsourcing is the answer. Right? Okay, most effective content, okay? So it's most effective versus difficult to execute, okay? So the last thing in the world they want to do is an e-newsletter. It's a pain in the neck to put the content together, so it's difficult to execute, and its effectiveness is not great, okay? But look down at videos, okay? It's a 20, high on the effectiveness and low on the execution. If they have one, you want to use it. Okay? Email click rates, the only reason this is up here is the highest is 3.5. So if you're going back in there with results saying, okay, you got a 4.6, click-through rate, and they're like, that sucks. You got to be prepared to say, actually, it doesn't. It's so much more, percent higher than what the average is. So you can see it in your book, all of the different types of services, so you can see exactly what their click-through is. But click-throughs are low, okay? They're low, so you need to know that. Rates for personalization. Now, this is interesting. Subject line, personalized. Kate, special offer for you. Message and personalized. Kate, special offer for you. 2.5-inch high heel pumps. Okay? Not personalized. Shoe sale. Okay? Both the subject line and the message are personalized. Now look what happens. The open rates go way down. Doesn't make sense, right? Right? But what happens with the click-through rates? Okay? So if I can get them to look at it, it's more relevant they keep going. Because I want them to click, so that's getting closer to buying. Okay? So you got to, wonder about stuff like that. Subject line only is personalized. I have low click-through with that. So I put a subject line on it, they noticed it, they opened it, they saw it was crap, and they kept on going. So, you're weighing things. What do I want? This is where it's like, what are we trying to get them to do matters. If I just want them to see, oh, this is a company that does this, then I might want to have that personalization in the subject line, because I don't care if they keep going. I just want them to know we exist initially. Okay? But if I really am trying to sell something and I want them to get on that landing page and I want them to click through and I want them to buy something, then I don't want superfluous personalization. I'm better off with relevance. Okay, I just put this in with 2 pages of open rates, bounce rates, and click-throughs by vertical market. So you have it as reference.
On that, the lady yesterday was talking about emailing, and she said, if it takes more than 10 seconds or whatever, then they'll probably just, they may not delete it, but they may just say, I'll look at it later.
She's exactly right.
And they forget about it.
Yeah. So if you, she's exactly right. So if your client says, here, I want you to email this, and just start paying attention to this and the stuff that you get. If it's like, what? Oh, I have to come back and read that more carefully. Like, it didn't make sense to me right away. I'll come back. You never come back. You never, ever come back. Okay? So that's why you want to be succinct. You want to have, not too much clutter, not too many objectives. So it's like, do this or that or this twice on Thursday and this. Like, that gets people confused. And then like, oh, I have to come back and read it later when I have more time. And then they never do. So simple objectives, clear directions, as simple as you can make it. Because you want them to be able to process, I need to read this as quickly as possible. So this is all just for reference. You can see it in your book, but these are all the open click-through bounce rates for all the industries, so that if you're doing something for somebody and it's a technology company and you know what is average. Okay, so a technology company for open rates average 15.93% open rate. Okay? We know that if we use more channels, you guys have seen this since the beginning of time, get better response. And this is also for reference, I put them in for all the known vertical markets that InfoTrends studied in here by each thing. So education, now you have specific education numbers, you have specific insurance numbers, you have hospitality numbers, you have retailers, and those are the ones that we did. Okay, so that first one is aggregate overall, whole bunches of different industries, but we actually studied some specific ones, and I put those in here because if you need them. Then PODI has some response rates by objective. So remember we talked about the objectives? Are we trying to generate leads, or trying to get somebody to buy something, or trying to get them traffic? Here's what response rates look like by objective on average, okay? So the highest response rate is for loyalty. Keeping a customer, selling them more stuff is good because it's a customer and I'm talking to you, and theoretically I know more about you. But you look down at like lead generation, that's lower. It's harder to do. Okay? Does that make sense? The gray is static. Then you have this also with a Pearl, like how it can improve. Why is this important? Because you guys are all falling asleep. Why is this important? We did this last session. If I know what they can get cross-channel is a 8.2% response compared to a 6.2 response, and I know for every 100 leads they get, they sell 10 things, I can now calculate the value of doing it. That's why I put it in here. Does that make sense? So a customer says, yeah, I usually get, a 2% response, and I can increase that by 200 to 300%, so up to 6%. If we make it cross-channel, I can now figure out the value of it. So I'm not talking about price. This goes back to what we talked about yesterday. I'm talking about value. This is that many more. This is 10 more leads. This is 12 more sales. This is whatever that is. Okay? So now you have the math to go and do the calculations from these charts. This is personalized campaigns versus static stuff. This is response rates by vertical, personalized versus static. This is response rates by objective, personalized versus static. Response rates by vertical market, personalized campaigns sent to a house list. What does that tell you? What's the difference between a house list and a prospect list? Okay, so what do I know about the awareness? I've got more of it. Okay, so that is going to correlate to that if the low response rate if I don't know who you are. So my house list, I have awareness, I'm going to get a higher response rate. If it's a prospect list and I'm going and buying data, I don't know if they know me at all. So I'm going to get that lower response rate. Make sense? Okay. All right, so the keys to success are set the expectations for response tracking with your customer, look beyond the obvious, okay, and look for bright lights. If the campaign, we did the campaign, are there segments that did well even though overall things didn't look good? That happens a lot. So overall I got a dismal response rate, But hey, look at this, women responded 50% higher than men. Well, that's a good thing. We learned something, okay? All right, so here's an example of just that. So as a trade union, they were trying to recruit potential members. Imagine that difficulty. The objective was find leads, not get them to join, but find that showed some interest so they could be talked to. The last campaign, they spent $5,000, did not get a single response. It's not a single one, okay? So the other information was the union was able to secure a 2% pay increase after 4 years of nothing, maintained a health care benefits at their current level instead of this proposed big increase, and something else. So basically, they had done some good things to work with in the past year. All right, so we mailed stuff, and this is what we look for. Okay, so we got postcards on the top, $29.91 were sent, 10% bounced. So that means they came back in the mail. Okay, so $26.95 got through, and then there's your email statistics. Okay, and we had a 59% unsubscribe rate. Now, does anybody remember what those opt-outs were from those previous slides? Did anybody latch hold to that? That's way high for opt-out. Okay, but it's a union. Like, I'm thinking that probably was a big issue. Like, who wants, I mean, it's not like we're selling something people might want. So that, you can't be too surprised about that, because you kind of be like, we got some challenges here, the union split, there's a lot of people who don't like unions right now. That's explainable. All right, so here's what happened. Email open rate, the response rate was 35.93%. Okay, so if you remember, technology was 15. This is pretty good for that. 716 read the message, 1993 successfully delivered, and that's how you get to the 35.93. The industry email standard is 22.2 overall, but I could go back to that list and find if there's something that correlates to a union, okay? So it's a 61% improvement over what standard stuff is. So when I go back, I don't want to be like, yeah, it's only 35%. I want to be, hey, you did 61% better than the standard. Okay? So what else do we want to look at? This was their traffic. Okay, so you can see the spikes, okay, for when they sent. Okay? Now this tells me, what does that tell you? Can you see anything there? So the first batch of graphs over there is the first time it went out. Then the second time, then the third time, then the fourth time.
It's going to welcome page.
Yeah. So we had a higher hit rate, like people went to the landing page, but it lower get to the profile page and get to the thank you page. So more people looked at it, but they didn't go all the way through. That tells me something, right? What does it tell me? What? Something's not right on the page. Okay. The problem was, and I tried to get this customer to send me the art so I could show you, and he couldn't find it. But basically what happened is between 1 and 2, he changed the message. Okay? The message on 1 was, win a $250 gift card. So of course they looked at it, and of course they went through it because they wanted to win $250 gift card. But that didn't have anything to do with anything. Okay? So I have unqualified response in the first section. Now the second section, they changed it to, see how you can help guarantee benefits for your family or something, more about the value proposition. So even though that's lower, it's more qualified. So they weren't just moving through there because they wanted to win $250. They were moving through there because they bought into the message. Right, because those people over there that were like, I want to enter to win, are not going to join the union. Okay, so really that second response is better than the first response, even if it's lower. Okay, and it's a really good thing that when we changed the subject line, that many people went to the landing page. That tells me a lot, because that tells me that initial message, they didn't know it was about the union, but they cared about the messaging, which was, you can be a part of the solution or something like that. Like it was something like a big value proposition message, okay? So that's good. Then I can look at, like this is your dashboard, so Mindfire or XMPie or EasyPearl or whatever the heck you're using. So I can start to look at, you know, did they go through the page? And then we had segments. We had younger women, younger men, old, middle-aged women, middle-aged men. Who do you think it's going to apply to? Middle-aged women, middle-aged men, okay? Now, so then I can actually see that who actually did stuff, okay? So young males, 3 total clicks. We were way off on whatever that messaging is. It is not right for a young male, okay? But everything else is pretty similar, you know? Older female 16, older male 18, younger female 16, we're in the ballpark, okay? So even though, hey, I just am trying to get people to talk to, this is good data. The message is wrong for the young guys. Either fix the message or stop mailing to them.
Well, you got people, females, very practical, use 10-second message, to a second message.
Right. They need to change the message. And if they're not sure what the message is, then they should stop mailing because it makes no sense to keep sending those young males the same message. It's not working. Okay? All right, so here I broke that out a little bit. So there's how your response rates, percent of the segment, you know, number of response, whatever. Okay? Now the young males overall ended up being not too bad. Okay? And it was actually the young female from the hitting of the response page that were low. Okay? So inside of it, you have 53 unique visits to the welcome page. They got nothing the last time. They spent $5,000 and had not a single lead. Okay, so now at least they have 53 people to talk to. Okay? And there's their results by age group. Okay? So I know I had to do something with that young audience. Now I did better with females than I did with males, but the message isn't relevant. Okay? So either I stop it altogether or I needed an education campaign before I can actually get them to talk to me. Right? So I need to take a prep step. Okay? So what do you think the biggest problem of the whole darn thing was? They got 53, what was it, 57 people to talk to?
Message wasn't relevant to start on this first one.
Well, I had people, you know, that's true. Like, we had some issues with that. But what do you think ultimately what happened?
The wrong message got sent, told them what happened, but they didn't do the homework in front of it to find out who they were related to.
Well, they had, it's a government employees union kind of thing. So they knew who they were. They had the right audience. They just had the messaging wrong for the audience.
And what I meant by that is the 50-year-old males make the message. The lady should have that, and the younger people should have that.
I actually think he did that. I think he did have a slightly tweak to it. No, actually, I take that back. I think it was the same exact messaging, but he had different images, like, to appeal to.
What did he think about just having 53 responses? What did he think about that?
Well, my customer, who's you, was freaking out. And I was like, are you insane? They got 0 last time. Yeah, so he's calling me, Kate, it's a disaster. You know, and I'm like, no, it's not. 53 people are paying attention to the message, and they have a person to call back now. They had nothing the last time. Like, you need to own that. Like, be proud of that. That's a big deal. They did it, spent $5,000 6 months ago, and not a single person was interested in anything. Okay? So you got to own your results and be confident that getting 53 people to join a union, which is going to pay, I forget what the union dues are. Anybody know what union dues are? I mean, they're pretty pricey. And for the rest of your life, like, it's a big-ass customer. So my customer, who was you guys, was freaking, okay? But then I calmed him down, and I was like, buddy, this is good. So then he was like, oh, okay. So he went back to his customers like, hey, this is good. And the customer's like, yeah, you're right. And then, but the problem was the customer didn't do anything. That's always the problem, okay? So basically, he's telling the customer, you got to call these people, you got to call them right now. Here's what you need to talk about based on what they clicked on. And, 2 months later, have you talked to them yet? Have you talked to them yet? Oh, yeah, we've been busy. So now they have to start all over again. When 2 months goes by, I can't remember that I did anything. Okay, so that's always the biggest problem. Always, always, always. Okay. Anybody want coffee, cookies? You want to get up and stretch a little bit? We're coming down the home stretch. Dan is stretching.